RG3 in Philly, RG3 anywhere. Is he just another Heisman flop, or is there still some hope? Pandas are lovable, but are they athletic? The Red Sox and Pablo. Fat baseball players, can they play? And fantasy baseball fanatics, we know you can't get enough. We are here for you. This is the Mark and Macy Show. We come your way every Thursday night. Macy, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm great. It's my favorite night of the week.
This is your favorite day of the week. It wouldn't be that 2 days at the end of the week where you actually don't have to do any work and you can do whatever you want.
This kicks off the weekend.
This is that good. And so this is our 13th week. That's Macy Golder. I'm Mark Rogers, and this is our little sports show that we do every Thursday night. And we're happy to have you along. So we've got a lot of things to talk about tonight. Before we get to it, we want to let you know that we've got a YouTube channel, Mark and Macy. We also have a Twitter account, Mark and Macy. We post a lot of fun stuff there. And we also now have a website, thanks to Macy.
Both of us. Team effort.
So what's our website handle? Where can people find us?
It is www.markandmacyshow.webs.com. So you can check it out. We're trying to make it as interactive as we can. You can subscribe to our YouTube on there, follow us on Twitter. You can read our tweets. You can tune into our live blabs. You can do all that fun stuff. So we want to make it fun and interactive. And when you can't have us Thursday nights, you can come and visit us any day of the week and find out what we're going to be talking about the next show, or give us your thoughts. And we want to hear from you.
So, folks, if you've been with us for 10 or 12 weeks, we thank you. But, hey, in just the last couple of weeks, Twitter account, YouTube page, website, hey, and even show rundown. It's all official this week. We just didn't hit record and start talking, although that's pretty much what it's going to turn out to be. But an official rundown that Macy approved. I worked on, she approved. So it all starts with fantasy baseball.
Yes, this is my favorite time of the year. I think fantasy baseball is so much fun. So we want to challenge you guys. We want you to challenge us. I'm going to challenge Mark. Mark's going to challenge me. And we just want to have fun with it and give us something to kind of talk about throughout the week. And we want to be interactive with you guys. So we want to play. So join our league. It is a private league on ESPN.com. You can just contact us, shoot us your email, and we'll get you signed up. It's open to the first 20 people, so hopefully we'll fill those spots kind of quick.
So this is funny, Macy, because we talked about fantasy baseball last week, and I haven't played for the last few years. I think fantasy baseball is by far the best sport out of the other fantasy sports, even though our poll, which we'll unveil in a few minutes, may have led us in another direction. Some people don't necessarily agree with me, but I think fantasy baseball just kills the other sports. But I've given it up the last few years. I said why. I got a little busy. I'm competitive. I like to win, and I couldn't put the time and effort into it. So actually, Macy, you kind of threw me last week because we started talking about setting up our league. And I thought, okay, this is great. I'll have my team, you have your team, because I thought, we're going to have some fights going on here if we try to share a team and we both try to be GMs here. But the way you talked about it last week, I thought we were going to have our team and then everybody else was going to have their teams. And then you set up this league, and I'm like, I got my own team. All right, I'm good. I got my own team. I'm ready to go.
Absolutely. I want to compete against you, so I need to have my own team. You need to have yours. So
love it.
Let's do it, right?
That's right. So we got to work out the details, the draft, and all that. But we got plenty of time. We got like 5 or 6 weeks till the start of baseball season. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. I think we actually had a respondent on Twitter who said that he wanted to jump aboard.
Yeah, we have people signing up. Even just a couple of people that I spoke to that have tuned into our show want to join too. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope, some chicks join too, so that all the guys can lose to one of us girls. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Or you could get more satisfaction if like 19 guys lost to one girl.
I don't know. I'm kind of all about the girl power. So, if there's any more chances for girls to win and more girls to be in there, that would be.
Or who knows? We might have 19 women sign up, and I could be the lone guy, and I would have to beat all of you.
That's true. We could go the other way, but I think there's a better chance it's going to be more guys than girls.
I am warning you. If I take something serious, look out. I can play some fantasy baseball. Oh, so we've got a question from Christopher here asking, what's your fantasy strategy for building a team?
Ooh, strategy. So I kind of like to go with the guys that most people don't know or talk about right off the bat. It's kind of just like fantasy baseball. There's always the big names that people go after, and you kind of just say, oh, I've got so-and-so on my team, and then it's kind of like a bust. And with fantasy baseball, you really have to play smart and play literally the entire field and think, okay, who's going to be hot now? Who's going to be hot later? So it's kind of just, looking at pitching, looking at who's going to be a clutch hitter and how many months out of a season they are a good hitter and what's going to get you the most points.
Okay. I thought of about 3 fantasy strategies, but I'm not going to give them all away because I think 2 of them are not unique to me. But I'll say one thing. You have to determine pitching. So if you look at track records of baseball players across the board, hitters are much more stable and perform on an even plane for the most part. If you get past like the top 8 to 10 starting pitchers in Major League Baseball, then you start to find this a lot. You see pitchers throwing out a 4.5 ERA one year, then the next year they have a really good year. Jake Arrieta was possibly the best pitcher in baseball last year. Look at his track record as a Major League pitcher. He's been very marginal, very, very average until the back half of 2014, and something clicked with this guy, and he put it together at the end of 2014. Then he was lights out last year. Who knows what we're going to get this year? Because if you liken that and just think, okay, Jake Arrieta is a premier pitcher now, you might get burned because he's only done it for less than a year and a half. If you remember Ubaldo Jimenez, like 7-8 years ago, had a 19-2 start for the Rockies, put together like a year and a half that was lights out, and then he turned into a marginal pitcher again. So I think pitching's a bit sketchy. I think you need to understand what the league requires. I think hitting's a little bit more consistent. You got your boom or bust guys. You got your very consistent guys. Adrian Gonzalez. Is anybody more consistent than Adrian Gonzalez for 25, 26 home runs a year, knocks in 100, hits 280 to 290, maybe 300. He's rock solid. He's getting up there. So at some point he's going to drop off. But is it going to be this year? Probably not, but it wouldn't surprise anyone, I don't think, if it did. So you got a lot of different strategies out there. I'm going to save another one I've got in mind because I just don't want to throw that out there because I could be talking to competition. Can't do that.
Absolutely.
All right. So we good with our fantasy league. So we just want to let everyone know out there that we've got our fantasy league started. Please contact us. Probably the best way to do that is on our Twitter page that you should be following. Mark and Macy, the Mark and Macy Show. How is it? Mark and Macy Show. Yes, that's it. And please let us know if you want to play some fantasy baseball because that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, which leads us to since we're talking about Twitter, our tweet of the week. And this is all Macy here. I'm just going to respond. Go to it.
All right. So Mark doesn't think it's that funny. I think it's hilarious. But David Arzma, he is a relief pitcher for the Blue Jays. And since pitchers and catchers have reported, recently, most teams have been posting, hey, photos, look who's here, look what players have arrived, look who's here. And it's always, the big names, the people that want to see. So David Arzma didn't quite get his own picture or anything that was, really like, hey, guys, I'm here. So what he did was he went on the Blue Jays website and found all the photos that he's in the background of, took them, circled them, and wrote me and put an arrow in all the pictures that he's in. So he is, kind of photobombing every picture. And he said, at least I know where to stand and can pick a good spot for pictures. So I thought that was really creative. He tweeted at Joey Bats. He tweeted it at R.A. Dickey. So I just thought it was really funny. I know that's something I would do if, I wasn't in all the pictures. I would say, hey, look at me in the background. I just think it's really, really funny. So props to him for having that sense of humor, because a lot of guys probably wouldn't do that.
So Knight Rider at least appreciates that. He says, good one, Macy. So maybe that comes from hanging out with models, like world-class models that you're used to not being necessarily the center of attention. You got to photobomb a lot. Is that it?
No, I actually don't really even like photobombs. But the fact that he took the effort to say, hey, here's me in the background over here. That's me. That's pretty funny. And he tweeted it at his own teammates. So that's pretty funny, and he can at least laugh at it.
This must have just been completely lost on me. I understand the art of the photobomb. So this goes on and has been going on. So it's one of those things that the first time it happened, or the first several times that somebody photobombed somebody, obviously, this is hilarious. This is something new, but this has been going on for 5 years. So I'm not quite getting the significance of Aardsma's photobombing.
I think it's just the funny thing to do, because he kind of said he wasn't the center of attention, and he's like, hey, I'm back here. This is me. I know where to stand. So it's kind of like that guy that, on the sidelines, who's maybe the student assistant in college football, stands next to the quarterback just so that he gets on TV because he knows they're going to show them on TV. It's kind of I think that same thing. He stood near, the hot guys that are going to be posted and that everyone wants to see, and he got his little FaceTime.
Okay, so I've got two interesting little side notes as I type up response to Amp Pipe 5533. That two interesting little side notes to this Aardsma thing for me that come to mind that you talk about it. First off, and I wish I knew the guy's name because I would have everyone Google him. This is the original photo bomber, pre-iPhone photo bomber. You got to go back to the 60s. There's an NFL Films. Are you familiar, Macy? NFL Films? Okay, I'm just checking. So NFL Films. Yeah, I know you're a huge NFL fan, but I'm just checking. So NFL Films. They did a segment on this guy that is hilarious. There's a guy from sometime, he started doing this in the late 60s, that would put on coach's garb and act like a coach. And because the security wasn't anything close to what it is now, he would just walk into stadiums. He would stand on the sidelines. He would stand with the coaches. He had nothing to do with any team. And he would change teams too. He would do with the Raiders, the Chiefs, the Vikings. And this guy is fascinating. I am going to assign myself some homework to look up this guy, and I'm going to get you his name and some links and the whole deal, because this guy was so good at this, is that he at one point got into 5 or 6 Sports Illustrated cover shots of the Super Bowl, where it was the typical Sports Illustrated cover shot where they would show the coach getting ridden off the field, and this guy would always be right here next to the coach. It was hilarious, and this guy had no affiliation with an NFL team. He even got into an NFL team's official photo, with the team. He was sitting on the end. It's hilarious.
That's pretty good.
The other little side note before we get to our caller, so hang in there, is that I figured out while we were talking about David Aardsma something you haven't learned this about me yet, Macy, but because you think of me as a football guy and my college football channel and all that, but I'm kind of a baseball geek, or at least I used to be, and I'm trying to be one again, so to help our little show. Hank Aaron and Tommy Aaron used to be #1 in the alphabetic list of all the major league players in the history of baseball. So alphabetically, it went Aaron, but David Aardsma is ahead of Aaron, since it's AARD and not AARO.
Okay.
I just thought that was interesting. So I think if you look at the alphabetic list of all-time Major League Baseball players, that you would see David Artsman number one. And now, whoever that was, it was either Christopher or Amp Pipe, is probably really angry with me because I kept talking and didn't let them call in. But hey, you can call back. We're here to take your calls, but I got to finish my point. You know, it's our show. So, but we want people to call in and talk to us. So please come back. We love you. Come back. Talk to us. We're not going to shut you out. We're not going to ignore people. All right. So that's the tweet of the week. We also have our Macy special, which is the Mark and Macy show poll.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite things. It kind of gives me a challenge every day of the week, coming up with a tweet that I know is going to interest everyone. So not all sports people are into, I always got to find something different. So we did ask, speaking of fantasy sports, what is the best fantasy sport out there? The NFL ran away with that one, obviously, at 72%. And the next closest thing was MLB with 23%. So you guys are definitely NFL fantasy fans, which I get it. Most people play that anyways. But I think now with FanDuel and all those things, there's a lot of people, that are playing different fantasy sports that were never really there before. And then Mark joined in this week and put the most overrated AP top 25, top 4 team. And the number one answer with 49% was Iowa. But it was a good mix of numbers. Villanova was at 25%, Oklahoma had 18%, and Kansas had 8%. So that was interesting. My favorite one so far this week was there was an incident at an NBA game. An NBA fan sitting courtside tells LeBron James to suck it up. LeBron James then takes it to Instagram later and reposts the video. So we wanted to know who had the last laugh. Was it this woman sitting courtside who told him to suck it up? Or was it LeBron who took to Instagram? And our friend Judy, the fan, she actually won with 70% of the votes, which I was very surprised. I thought most people would have said LeBron because everybody loves LeBron. So I was very, very surprised with that one.
We had another caller jump in here. People, please be patient. We just want to finish our point, and then you can call in, and we want to accept your call and talk to you. I forget which way I voted for that one because I was going back and forth on that one because I was thinking LeBron gets FaceTime every day of the week. This woman, this is her shot at fame. She took advantage, whether she wanted to or not. And I think it's pretty obvious from the response from LeBron, he did hear her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is actually, so I kind of did some research on her, and this is not the first time she's been involved with NBA players and making comments. So I think it's kind of funny. I think she referred to someone else as a crybaby, and did it right there. It might even have been LeBron if I'm thinking of the same person. But I thought that was really great that, fans are interactive, especially when they're sitting courtside and they still feel like they can be a fan and not some kind of stuck-up rich person that's just there to watch some basketball. So another one we had, this is kind of hard to explain because it's all emojis, but the other day was National Toast Day. So we wanted to know, what does National Toast Day mean to you? Does that mean toast with your eggs and your breakfast? Does it mean toast as in cheering, your favorite drink? Or toast, a lot of people were saying goes with jam, and in sports, you jam people. So this one actually came out to be a tie with the breakfast toast and the favorite drink toast, both at 47%.
Okay, that was very clever. Now, I brushed through this stuff way too fast. So what happened was you sent that, and I was like, what? and it was too small, and I'm like, what? And I just was like, well, that's breakfast. I get it. And I voted. But I would have gone the less traditional route had I known. And then I looked at it later. I was like, on my full screen computer, and I was good to go. So the last one I kind of got more as when you toast someone in sports, like a wide receiver burned a corner.
Well, that's the different thing. Like for sports, there were a couple people who were jamming people at the net, then there were guys who were just burning these other guys down the field. So it was like all different sports references when you toast someone.
Okay.
So I thought that was pretty funny and really interesting that they actually came out even. And I don't honestly remember what I voted for. I really don't.
So you saw that it was
National Toast
Day.
Yeah.
And it just hit you that you could.
Yeah. For some reason, I just said this needs to be something. So let's make it something.
I knew there was a reason I had you on board for this. Well done. I would have never come up with that.
All right. So after rumors of a setback from surgery, Tiger Woods posted a video showing him hitting a shot on a simulator. We wanted to know, should Tiger keep playing or should Tiger retire? And 60% of the people said that Tiger should keep playing. What do you think?
Okay, so at the point in which I saw your tweet and the poll, our poll, but you posted it, I thought, okay, I hadn't seen it. I just saw that video actually today of Tiger hitting the simulator. And I thought, if the guy wants to play, let him play. That was basically my determination on whether Tiger should play, not that he looks healthy hitting a simulated shot on a simulated golf course. So
yeah, I don't know where I stand with that one, to be honest with you. I like Tiger. Again, it's like I don't really know golf without Tiger. Like Tiger's always that name. But at the same time too, he's been through a lot, a lot of surgeries, a lot of girls. He just eventually have to maybe find something else to do or just go live in your great mansions and just live a great life for the rest of your life.
Well, I'm not a big golf guy, but here's my take on Tiger. So I'm probably one of the few that doesn't side with or against Tiger. I'm pretty neutral. The guy doesn't move the needle with me. Most people love him or hate him. He seems to be kind of a polarizing type figure based on the way he plays, the way he acts on the course. He's not your typical golfer. He was the first of kind of a new, more hip generation of golfer, if there is such a thing. And then obviously then he started to do some things off the course that people didn't like and had many transgressions there. So my thing with Tiger, strictly as a player, I don't want him to succeed, but that has nothing to do with him. That has everything to do with Jack Nicklaus. So at one point in his career, it appeared as though there would be no stopping Tiger Woods from becoming the all-time greatest golf champion. And the way that's measured, much like teams, Super Bowls, World Series, with golfers, it's major championships. And it looked like he was going to eclipse Jack Nicklaus with no issue. But of course, his career derailed, and he's still, I think, 4 behind the Golden Bear, 18-14 in major championships. So I'm rooting for Jack Nicklaus to maintain his status as the greatest of all time. So that's my only rooting interest in this against Tiger Woods. Otherwise, he's been great for golf. There's no question about it. I do find it interesting, and I saw this noted yesterday, that despite the great popularity that came to golf and when Tiger's on the screen, maybe not so much now versus 5 or 10 years ago, but obviously the TV ratings went through the roof when Tiger was on the winning major championships, and golf became much more popular. It really hasn't translated to African Americans playing golf, and it hasn't translated necessarily to them reaching it to the PGA Tour. There's only one other PGA Tour member who is African American, so it hasn't had that type of an impact, which is interesting because it's been right now about 20 years that Tiger's been on the tour. So anyway, back to our polls.
All right, so that's been our polls, and our poll that we have out right now that's still active, you can go and still vote. It will still be up for another 19 hours, so you have plenty of time. We said, so today, the MLB bans the rolling block slides after Chase Utley slid into Ruben Tejada during playoffs last year. Did the MLB make the right call, or are they trying to change the game? So right now, we're at 56% is saying that the MLB made the right call. They definitely should have banned that. It was not right. Or are they just trying too hard to change the game of baseball, and it's not the same game that, we've all watched? So that's pretty interesting. It's been bouncing back and forth the past couple hours. So we want to know what you think. Go to our Twitter, Mark and Macy Show, and let us know. Cast your vote.
If you want to see a really rough slide, and I thought that was beyond the rules. I thought that was uncalled for. I thought it was nasty what Chase Utley did to Tejada last year. I don't think there's any question about that in the playoffs, at least from where I sit and where I view the play. If you want to see a really ridiculous slide, if you want to go to old school Major League Baseball, hopefully it's somewhere on YouTube. I just saw it again maybe a week ago watching the MLB Network, I think. 1976 playoffs, I think. And no, I didn't see it live. But the 1976 Yankees-Royals ALCS, Hal McRae sliding into Willie Randolph started this ruckus at second base and a complete fist fight. He went into left field to knock out Willie Randolph. It's crazy. So yeah, it's fun to watch. If I didn't have to physically deal with it, like collisions at the plate with catchers that have been legislated against in the last few years. I don't like that as a fan because I love to see the collision at the plate. But hey, when I was playing baseball, did I want to get I never played catcher, but did I want to get stood up by a catcher at the plate? No. So if you're actually trying to make the game a safer, more impactful game for the players that are trying to stay out there for 162 games, I think that's a good thing. It can still be a tough sport, and you can play hard, slide hard, and do it in a clean fashion. So that's where I would stand on that one.
Yeah, I agree with that. But, this goes back to, this wasn't the only thing that was changed today, too. They did also make the change that any visit to the pitching mound is limited to 30 seconds. So, last season they made it limited to, I think it's 2 minutes in between innings. Now it's 30 seconds at the mound. They're just trying to maybe speed up the game. And for baseball lovers, sometimes we like to watch a 3.5 hour baseball game. We don't need to speed it up. So I kind of disagree with them changing the game that way. I don't really want a game to go faster. I enjoy it the way it is. And I don't know. I mean, did I take the slide from Chase Utley going into Ruben Tejada? Of course, I'm a Mets fan. I'm going to think that's a nasty slide. But did he go out of his way? Sure. But then again, I think of backyard baseball, and when we were growing up, how we played baseball or kickball, it's kind of the same thing. And, you do whatever to help your team to win. So maybe I'm a dirty player. I don't know. But I don't really go against what Chase Utley did.
Wow.
I was only offended because he broke, one of the guys from my team.
I thought I'd seen a number of comments that you made about that incident. I thought you were completely on the other side of this.
No. Well, I was mad at Chase Utley because he's a Philly guy, and I feel like he personally took it out against the Mets.
Yeah.
So there's that standpoint from it. But you can't change. It's just like football. You can't change the game to be this clean-cut game because then it's not the game of football anymore. There's flag football games that are dirtier than the NFL. And I'd rather watch that flag football game that's going to be fun and exciting than, a little, okay, now don't touch me, pull my flag. It's just, I don't like boring sports. Injury, not that it makes it fun or exciting, but it kind of adds that thrill sometimes. I hate to be the person to say it, but I'm going to say it. So, it's kind of what we watch for, sometimes kind of want to see.
Well, football is a physical game. You can't get around it. And I think it's impossible what the rules are now asking defensive players to do in a split second. they are asking at full speed for defensive players, especially linebackers and safeties and cornerbacks, to reposition their body in a split second to make sure that the crown of their helmet or any part of their helmet is not going to make contact with not just the helmet of the other player, but any upper portion of their shoulder. This is almost an impossible task, in my opinion, to still play aggressive, go for the ball, and make a hit, and position your body in such a way that you're leading with the shoulder at all times, not knowing what that receiver is going to do to position themselves to try to make a catch. That's craziness.
Yeah, I agree. So do we have any callers that want to call in and maybe talk about this, or, you know, I don't know. I know people have been bugging to call in, so I don't know if anyone has any comments on this or something we previously talked about. So if you do, now's your chance.
Yeah, we had a couple callers try, but they got scared away because we talked too long, I guess. So please call in and
don't bite.
Your comments or your questions. The baseball thing, though, I'll make the distinction about the length of a baseball game is that I'm a huge baseball fan, and I do hate non-baseball people that are within sports, and I see this all the time, that are just general sports analysts, and they'll criticize baseball and it's too long and shorten it. And the natural flow of the game is what it is. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful sport. You can't mess with that. But I think there are ways to trim it down. I don't like seeing guys continually get out of the box between every pitch and the pitcher walk around the mound between every pitch. Sometimes, especially in the postseason, it gets to be a little much. I do like there being a fluid pace to the game.
I can agree with that, but I don't need a game shortened. You know, I feel like they're really trying to limit any extra time, and it's just, I like it the way it is. I like the flow, like we said, it runs well. There's a couple guys here and there that could be knocked around and say, hey, you know, knock it off, but I'm cool with it. I don't want it to be any shorter than it is.
Well, they made the rule going into last season that they were going to penalize anybody who stepped out of the box between pitches. And I don't know if that really took place, because I think it was shown that David Ortiz does this between every pitch. Yeah.
But hey, if you have like your ritual or something, or what is part of your routine, you gotta do what you gotta do.
So, Macy, I'm going to make the first executive decision concerning the show rundown, the official show rundown here, where we have RG3 next. But, hey, we're in the baseball flow. So why don't we talk some baseball here with what I thought was funny concerning Red Sox third baseman Pablo Sandoval. I know that I saw one picture of him taken, and he was mid-throwing motion. Did you see this picture?
Yep.
Yeah, so the shirt was flapping up and the gut was hanging all over the place. And so there's much made over him currently, and in the past some other somewhat obese baseball players, and linking performance with their weight. And with Pablo Sandoval, he's making a lot of money and didn't have such a good season last year, 245, 10 home runs. And his weight is at what? His fat percentage, body fat ratio?
His fat percentage is at 17% this season. When he
supposedly.
Yes.
Supposedly.
Yes.
I have no idea what my fat percentage is right now. I know that it was taken at one time and it was 8%. It's not 8% now. But if Pablo Sandoval is at 17%, maybe I am at 8%.
Yeah, it all started with that picture. That picture just, once that was taken, it went everywhere. And we all know all it takes is one bad picture to make you look bad. That's all it takes. A bad angle, this, that, whatever. It happens. But to prove a point, he said, look, last year at spring training, I came in at 23% body fat. And this year I'm at 17. And, he kind of spoke with the Red Sox and they told him, you don't need to lose weight, but you need to be in a better condition, in a playing condition. Okay, fair. So maybe he worked out. Maybe working out was eating cheeseburgers. I don't know. Does he look great? No, he doesn't. But I'm also not going to jump down his throat either and say he looks terrible. There are bigger guys in Major League Baseball that have been successful. Not everyone's small. So maybe that's just how he feels comfortable. Maybe that's the way, he said he was focusing on, playing and becoming a better ball player rather than his weight or, what he eats in his diet. So maybe that's what matters, is that he's focusing on being a better baseball player. So I don't really, I haven't said anything bad about him. A lot of people have been attacking him and saying this and that. But hey, if you're comfortable in your own skin and you feel that you can play your best ball like that, then so be it.
Yeah, so apparently the Red Sox ownership has no issue with this at this point. They've made certain requirements of him, and he has until the end of spring training to meet those, and they don't seem to have an issue. Let's see, it was, I can't come up with his name. The owner of the team, Henry, I can't think of his first name. Anyway, made some comments to the media. So this seems to be a John Henry. Thank you very much, City of Champs 55. So John Henry did what a good owner would do, and he kind of defended his player and let them know what the circumstances are and what the conditions are. So it seems to be a media creation of controversy here. So I'm kind of on both sides of the fence when it comes to this, because baseball is different than basketball and football. It's a game of skill more so than a game of athleticism. That said, there are athletic plays that need to be made in baseball. So a great hitter can get by without running a 4.4 40 in baseball, obviously, if he's got great hands. And we've seen it with a ton of guys who couldn't exactly sprint well down the first baseline, but they are great baseball players because they have a great throwing arm, great skill, hand-eye coordination. That's first and foremost for a baseball player. But after that, obviously guys like Ken Griffey Jr., and we could go down the line of exceptional athletes who are exceptional in baseball, partially because they are great athletes. So it helps. You got to slug it through 162 games, through a lot of heat, through a lot of travel. So you need to be in shape to a certain extent. That's going to help you maintain your playing condition and be able to make it through a full season. So I think that any club has any right to hold those conditions to a particular player. They've made a large investment. The player needs to follow through and be able to. But there's obviously room for both here. And I'll note Babe Ruth, David Wells, CC Sabathia, Miguel Cabrera is not the smallest guy in the world. So there's a number of guys who have been out there that have carried a few extra pounds and been pretty good. And your boy in New York.
I was just going to say that. I mean, look at Bartolo Colon, one of the oldest guys in baseball. Not, I would say probably actually one of the biggest guys in baseball. And he's one of the best, I don't want to say best baseball players because you guys will take that so far out of context if I say that. But he understands baseball. He's been in the game long enough where he just knows stupid things. Today at practice, Colon had this one play where he kind of threw the ball behind his back to the first baseman, got the guy out. Guess what they practiced today at spring training? All the pitchers had to do that exact play and mimic what Colon did. Colon's just got a special touch on the ball, and he understands the game of baseball. And, there were rumors going around that when he came to spring training this year, that his jersey didn't even fit him, which I don't believe that. I think that's just, again, the media saying, oh, Bartolo Colon is a big guy. Well, of course he is, but he's content with it. He makes a great batter when he stands there in the box and, that helmet barely fits on his head and he just kind of stands there like a blob. But it's cool. It's something that we look forward to him pitching. So I don't think it's a big deal if it affects his performance, halfway through the season or even, just a quarter into the season. Then, okay, maybe then it's something you consider. But right now, if you're a big guy, I don't know. I mean, the actual New York Mets call Cologne big sexy. So he's making it work. I mean, props to him, right?
Well, at some point when it becomes so ridiculous, you obviously give a guy a nickname that has nothing to do with reality. You go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. So that's where he gets that.
But they're not like, if they were really not happy with him being that big, they wouldn't call him big sexy. They would say, dude, lose some weight. Like, let's do this. And I'm sure people work with him, and I'm sure he eats a healthier diet throughout the season, and I'm sure he's got more activity throughout the season. So, it happens.
It all comes down to performance. And when David Wells was winning close to 20 games a season and winning world championships with the Yankees, he was fine. When CC Sabathia started out with the Indians, won a Cy Young Award, came to the Yankees, won a World Series, he was fine. But then when he started going downhill, basically because of age and 2,500 innings on his arm, then suddenly his weight's an issue. And CC Sabathia one season showed up maybe 2 or 3 years ago, losing like 40 pounds. Did he pitch better? No, because he's in his upper 30s and he's got a lot of innings and injuries on his arm, and he's probably never going to be that type of player. Yeah, Babe Ruth, Knight Rider, huge. We've seen the videos of him running out of first base, and yeah, the old clips of Babe Ruth. So it's a different. These guys cannot be compared to football and basketball players when it comes to that. I do think that the guys that are in shape generally perform better. That's why they go to spring training and work out. So it's still a game of athleticism to a lesser degree.
I agree. Yes, I was just reading that CC was also battling an alcohol problem too. So, okay.
We know that now.
Yeah. We know that. Everybody's got their own thing that they're battling. So I guess that's CC's.
So kind of staying on the periphery of another baseball argument that came up this week that has nothing to do with necessarily performance on the field, and even less so than the whole weight issue, is Don Mattingly, who has been known since his playing days with the Yankees for sporting one of the serious stashes in the history of baseball, especially in modern baseball, suddenly has to go along with the Miami Marlins policy that they're going to have no facial hair. So does this really matter? Should we be legislating hair adornment for players that are like dads and husbands and grown-ups and going to a job? Do you need to be cleanly shaved to play baseball?
It's interesting because I see two sides of it. So coming from a Penn State background and coming from what I've known as Joe Paterno football, they were the clean cut, no one had hair hanging out of the helmets. No one had facial hair. No one had anything dramatic. And it was the clean cut, simply Penn State. I get that. And I understood that image that he tried to portray throughout the team, and that everyone, looked the same, and it was the same kind of this. And, I get that. But like the point you just said, these are husbands, these are professional athletes, they're dads. So how can you tell them, no, you can't have a beard or, facial hair? So I think that's so hard to say, no, you can't, or, everyone needs to look like this. Mattingly did say some guys will like it and some guys won't. The thing that he said, as long as we're consistent, it's not that big of a deal. So I'm interested to see if they'll really follow through with this throughout the whole season, and they really will have no hair. Like, what's going to happen if someone shows up with a little bit of scruff like you have, Mark? Like, what's going to happen?
I don't know what's gonna happen.
Are they going to bench them?
I understand that did happen to Don Mattingly with the Yankees. And
Yeah.
if you know anything about the Yankees policy, going way back to whenever, is that it's totally clean shaven. So you take a guy like Jason Giambi, he's the first guy that comes to mind when he was with the Oakland A's. You know, he was sporting the long hair and the goatee and the whole deal. And then he comes to the Yankees and, you know, $150 million persuaded him to shave on a regular basis. But the Yankees, they can get away with that to a certain extent, more so than it surprises me that the Miami Marlins, considering where they're located and the status of the team and their payroll, that they would really focus on this and not focus on some other things.
Yeah, I think there's bigger issues that could be addressed or taken care of, or more things to put all of your energy into. I kind of go with the whole Deion Sanders, look good, play good, get paid well. So you're kind of telling guys to change their appearance. Maybe they don't feel comfortable. Maybe they're going to think they look like a 17-year-old kid because they don't have a beard, and they're going to feel a little less about themselves. I don't know. I think it's stupid. I think there's so many other things that they could, like I said, channel their energy to, rather than, hey, you have a beard, you're benched today.
It feels good to be clean shaven. Sometimes I don't know how to explain this, but sometimes it just feels like uncomfortable. Like if I was going to go play a baseball game in 45 minutes and you said you got to shave your face, no, that's not going to cause me to go 0 for 4 and make 2 errors. But I wouldn't necessarily want to shave. I'd be like, I feel comfortable right now. Just let me.
But you don't know, these guys could have had it for years. Take something away that you've had for years and you feel like a totally different person, and maybe it's not for a good thing. You don't know how these guys are going to feel.
All right, Macy, we ready for a caller? I believe we are.
Yes.
Christopher, jump on in. Hey, Christopher, how are you?
First time. I've been listening for a short time. How you guys doing?
We're doing just fine. What's on your mind?
Well, I wanted to chime in on the whole facial hair thing you guys were just talking about. The Yankees, I'm a Yankee fan, so I will disclose that. They have every right to do what they want. They've got the rings, they've got the history, and yeah, if they're going to pay you, you're going to shave. The Miami Marlins, they have no business with a policy like this. They should be worried about putting fans in the seats, and when they sign players to long-term contracts, maybe keep them and not trade them away.
So from a practical standpoint, I would completely agree that the New York Yankees have built up a reputation and also have the resources and the bankroll to be able to dictate to players what they want. And I don't recall any situations where a player has turned down a free agent contract from the Yankees because they had to shave, whereas the Miami Marlins have difficulty rounding out a payroll and have some issues there, and have traditionally had that issue and had to gut 2 world championship teams because they didn't have the money to support it long term. So I would completely, from a practical standpoint, agree with you. From the standpoint of they're 2 Major League Baseball teams and they have every right to run their establishments as they see fit. They're on equal playing ground technically. Why wouldn't the Marlins be able to do whatever they want? But I just don't see why this should be a priority. Totally agree.
It shouldn't be a priority. And to throw a bad pun out, they have bigger fish to fry in Miami.
They do.
No, I love it, and I agree. And I think what's the weirdest part about all of this is it's coming from Don Mattingly, who, like we said, he was the one who got benched in 1991 because he wouldn't shave. So how can a guy who wouldn't even play by the rules or that team's rules try to enforce this on a team? It makes no sense to me.
He must have been flashing back to his days on the Springfield Atomics with Mr. Burns and made him shave his sideburns.
Yeah, when was that? Like pre-1983, huh?
That was like classic Simpsons.
Oh, I thought we were still talking about Mattingly. I'm sorry. I'm reading comments off to the side here.
They did. They referred to that in The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I did see some, and that's what got posted all over the place for the Mattingly clips with The Simpsons because of this deal here. All right, Christopher, anything else on your mind?
Nope, that's it. Thank you for letting me come on for a couple minutes here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for jumping in. We appreciate it. All right, so we've talked a little baseball here, and I think before we sign off, we did want to talk about RG3. I don't know that he's relevant anymore. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. He was the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft, and then hit the field as a Rookie of the Year. But since then, it's been nothing but injuries and poor play, poor supporting cast for the most part, and Kirk Cousins has stepped in and been very capable over the last 2 years. So, Macy, your thoughts about RG3, who the Washington Redskins, it hasn't been officially done, but have announced that he will not be with the team next year.
I think that was a story that I don't even know if that needed to be shared. I think it was more common sense than, pretty much anything. We all knew RG3 was not going to be back with the Redskins. That was very, very obvious. We all knew that Kirk Cousins had the job and he was the one that was going to stay. Like you said, injury, coaching staff, not the right team to work with, just not the right fit for RG3. People are saying maybe he'll go to Dallas or Houston. Maybe he's a Texas guy. I don't know. Maybe that's where he belongs, but he definitely does not belong with the Washington Redskins, and I don't think it was even really the right fit from the beginning. The Redskins have been a team that people have doubted for so many years, and then Kirk Cousins shows up and proves to them, hey, we do have something, and we can make this work, and we're a good organization. So I just think RG3 actually stayed there too long.
So we've seen this down through the annals of NFL history a number of times where 2 quarterbacks leaving college, entering the NFL draft have been at the forefront of the draft, and there's had a decision to be made, whether it was John Elway versus Dan Marino, although in that particular draft in 83, Marino slipped all the way down to the 28th position inexplicably, and that turned out to burn 27 NFL teams. Rick Meyer versus Drew Bledsoe in 92, Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf. This one was Andrew Luck against RG3. And the people that sided for Andrew Luck was cerebral quarterback, big guy. He's going to be able to take the punishment, stand in the pocket, and endure through a long NFL career. RG3, too frail. But the supporters of RG3, dynamic player, can take off, can burn defenses, can be that dual threat guy. And with the NFL taking on more of the college type approach to offense with the read option and all of that RG3 would be successful. Well, we saw that for one season, and I remember seeing an excellent breakdown of one of the reasons why RG3 was so successful as a rookie is that Andrew Luck, from the get-go, right out of the gate, was almost treated like Peyton Manning. Like, this is your team. You've got to understand not just what your responsibilities are, but you've got to understand the entire offense, and you need to be able to direct people and tell people where to go. And he was given the responsibility of the entire offense, almost an offensive coordinator on the field. RG3, on the other hand, was basically told, you know what you're going to do? You're going to look at your primary receiver, and if he's not open, you're going to take off and run. That's what you're going to do. You're going to drop back to pass, and you're going to look at one guy, and then you're going to take off. And so that was successful. Defenses picked up on that. They made it more complex for RG3 to handle, and he hasn't been able to bounce back from that. On top of that, as we mentioned, he's a thin, frail guy for a football player, and it's caught up with him. And he's not, even if he comes back and is healthy, I think he's lost his step. I don't think he's got the explosion that he once did, and that was a huge part of his game. So I wish the guy all the luck in the world. From every indication I've seen in interviews and everything else, I think he's a good guy. I think he's a first-class guy, stand-up guy. But I think it's going to be very difficult, and I think the odds are stacked against him of being a successful NFL quarterback. He may maintain a job for the next 5 years backing somebody up, but to be a success, I just don't see it.
I absolutely agree with you there. There's one thing. So when I watch sports, I watch a little bit further into sports than just watching it for the game. But I like to notice people's routines and things that they do. And RG3 has this thing that he does, and it drives me nuts. Before he snaps a ball, he will lick his lips. He sticks his tongue out and licks his lips and does like this very strange face. And now that I told you that, you will always look once you see him if he plays again. He does this weird thing. So that always drove me nuts about RG3. It was always like such a turn off because I couldn't even stand to look at it. I don't know why, but sometimes you just see these things and you're like, oh my goodness, why are you doing that? Stop, stop, stop. But again, if you have this routine, you know, like a basketball player taking a free throw when guys are up to bat, you know, things like that happen. So everybody's got their own thing that they like to do. But Mark, I do have a little bit of a trivia question for you. Do you know where RG3 was born?
Where he was born? Is there some significance to this?
I'll just say it's different. It's just...
Oh, you know what? I do remember this from way back, but I'm not coming up with it. It was somewhere overseas, but I'm not coming up with it. Sorry.
No, so RG3 was actually born in Japan. His parents were both sergeants in the Army, and that's where they were stationed at the time. He then moved to Washington, Louisiana, then Texas, and that's where he finally called home. But I thought that was so interesting that who knew? You know, that's not something every day that an NFL quarterback is born overseas somewhere, unless you're Tim Tebow.
Really?
But, you know, like the Philippines.
Oh, I didn't know that. Had no idea. I wouldn't have known it either. I'm shocked that you knew it.
Yeah, so I just thought that was a fun, interesting little fact. You know, it's not every day you hear that.
So I got to tell everyone, and I don't know if Macy picked up on this because you didn't really respond. I think I threw this out there. Or I threw it in our kind of offline rundown. So people who don't know TV, you usually have a rundown of what you're going to do, what you're going to talk about, and it could be very specific or it could be loose. And I threw out at some point this week that we could do a trivia question each week, and Macy would throw a trivia question at me and see if I could answer it. So this is going to be my this is going to be my mulligan. If we're talking golf, this is going to be my trial run, and we're going to start keeping track next week. Right? Is this
okay.
what this had to do with, or you just happened to throw this at me?
No, I just threw it at you because I was looking at things on RG3 today, and I was just like, oh, okay. And I was just going to do it as like a fun fact, but you're like really smart, so I figured you would know where he was born.
Thank you for saying that.
Mark, really I always tell you you're really
smart. There's a difference between smart people and people that just have a bunch of facts stuffed in their head. I might be the latter. I am definitely not the former. So anyway, we would like to remind everyone that this is our show that we do every Thursday night, the Mark and Macy Show. We've got our website. We also have our Twitter page, Twitter account, however you refer to that. Please join us on Twitter at Mark and Macy, the Mark and Macy Show. I always get that wrong. And you can also join us on our YouTube channel as well and see all of our content right there. So we're very excited to continue this. This is week 13, and we thank all of you for jumping on board. And we love the engagement. So talk to us. Get on Twitter. Talk to us. Answer the polls. Not only respond to the polls, but you can make your comments toward the polls and anything else we have to throw out there. Definitely, we want to help have you help us produce the show, and so you can let us know what you would like us to talk about. The NFL Combine's coming up later this week, so maybe we'll have a few things to say about that concerning next week, and we want to invite you again to our Fantasy Baseball League. Macy, once again, how can people find that?
They can go to our Twitter, they can go to our website, shoot us an email or, a tweet or something, but send us your email. And once you give us your email, we can enter you in our league and you'll be all set up.
Okay, so I think we're good to go for a Thursday night. This is the Mark and Macy Show. We hope to see you back again next week. And again, in the meantime, check us out on Twitter and at YouTube, and we'll talk up some sports. So we will see you next time.
Absolutely.